Yeah, what's up, everybody? This is Kyle and Mike from the Fantasy Phenom, here to recap a very short three-game slate here on Sunday, talk about why Tom Brady is not the GOAT quarterback of all time, and look forward to Monday's 11-game slate.
Man, that was a good game though. You got to give it to him. I was about ready to give up and start doing some research for tonight, um, and then slowly but surely, I don't know. You just kind of got that feeling that they were going to win.
Oh, absolutely. But here's my problem. Okay, let me break this down. And I was just talking about this. I think it's the single dumbest thing in the world to rank players by the number of rings they have. I hate it. I'll never get behind it. And the reason I say that is you'll never convince me that Bill Russell is a legend and an all time great. Okay, maybe a legend because of when he played. He's not an all time great. He's not. You'll never convince me that Derek Fisher is on the same level as another player that has 5 rings, a Robert Ory. You know what I mean? So rings alone are not a good testament. So people that talk about Tom Brady and he made this comeback, blah blah blah. The defense did not allow any points in the last 25 minutes of the game. He had, in the first half, 3 straight defensive holding penalties to keep drives alive. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
What else did he have? He had a ton of tip passes. He gave up a pick six. He, that catch to Edelman. Just, Tom Brady. Okay, let me say it this way as well. If Tom Brady did exactly what he did tonight, exactly the same thing, and the Atlanta Falcons, when they were on, I believe it was the 20-yard line of the Patriots with 4 minutes left, if they run the ball, just run the
Instead of
ball
spiking it,
instead of passing. They passed it and got sacked, and which put them in like third and something, and then they tried to pass again and got a holding penalty, took them out of field goal range. If you take if you change that right there, and the Falcons run the ball, they ice the game, they take more time off the clock, and they kick a field goal. Brady does exactly the same thing he did, right? That's out of his hands. All of a sudden, we're not having this discussion, and Brady is not the GOAT. So,
and
to judge a player in a team sport based on the amount of rings that a team has and what he did, Tom Brady threw for 400 and something yards. He had 62 pass attempts. That's about 7 yards an attempt. That's not for a great quarterback. Nah.
man, I'm not going to talk about Tom Brady because this is partially my show, and I refuse to devote any part of this show to Tom Brady. However, I will get into a bit of a discussion with you about the ring situation. So, in my opinion, I'll take it from a different perspective. So, you obviously you put the stats into play, and some people they're not on that team and they're still a great player, but it still has to be in the conversation. And this is why I say that because as an athlete myself, as a competitor myself, I know what that feeling is, and I know how hard it is to get to that point. So when you are judged based on your peers and you're judged by your peers in sports, they also know what that is and how hard it really is to get to that point. So that's why it becomes part of the conversation because more than half of the people judging athletes or comparing athletes have been in that situation as well. So they recognize.
Are we gonna say that Bill Russell's the greatest basketball player because he has 12 rings?
No, but I don't think that's why people say that Tom Brady is the best football player either.
It's fair.
I just think it's part of the conversation,
That's fair.
and it
I
has to be.
That's fair. I don't think you can discredit Dan Marino as one of the greatest quarterbacks ever because he didn't win a ring, though. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
No, definitely not.
And I'm not saying Tom Brady is not a good quarterback. Tom Brady's an amazing quarterback. I think people construe my my opinion on him for me saying, obviously the title says Brady still sucks. It's a joke. Tom Brady's an amazing quarterback, one of the best ever. He's not the best ever. He's not. And I will refuse to admit that and believe that because he has the greatest coach ever in Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick has the ultimate plug-and-play system. He won 11 games with Matt Castle. He won games with Jacoby Brisket. He probably could have won a game with Julian Edelman. So I'm just saying.
I'm not even getting into a debate with you about Tom Brady because I know nothing about the guy. I really don't care. I'm a New York sports fan, so there's no way in hell I'm going to sit on this show and talk about Tom Brady.
Fair enough. I just had to get that off. I've been getting a lot.
But I will.
Go ahead.
But I will say, winning is winning in sport. That's what sports is all about. We're here to win. So I'm not going to discredit winning.
At the end of
when
the
you're
day,
talking about comparing people.
At the end of the day, we're here to win on a daily basis, and that's what we're gonna keep doing. We can agree to disagree on Brady. Y'all aren't gonna change my opinion, and I'm not changing yours. I already know it.
Yes, sir. So I didn't get to play it all today. I forgot to make my lineups before I went to work after the show last night or this morning, whatever you want to look at it. Mm. And then we got super busy in the morning, and by the time I got back to the station, the slate had locked. So I didn't get to play it all today. I brushed up on what happened and all, but I was bummed.
It's all good, man. Shit happens. I wish I didn't play. I picked the wrong player. I picked Isaiah Thomas tonight. I really thought he was going to go off, and picking Isaiah Thomas was the wrong decision.
Yeah, from reading and kind of just like looking on Twitter and crap, it seemed like if you picked Thomas over Westbrook, you didn't win tonight or today.
Yeah.
Like if you chose to fade Westbrook and go to Thomas and get more balanced, you didn't win.
Al Horford was also the play at center.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did mention him last night. Obviously, I thought he was one of the better spots, but they were all really kind of close. So,
Victor Oladipo absolutely exploded. 48 FanDuel points. Russell Westbrook 54, right around projection. Dame Lillard had 47. Al Horford, as we mentioned, had 46. Kyle Lowry was right at projection at 44. Isaiah missed his at 41. Jamal Crawford was the play at shooting guard today, not J.J. Redick.
Not J.J. I said this last night. Remember, what did I say about Redick last night? And 3-point percentage in Boston. It wasn't his game.
Yeah.
But Jamal Crawford's on a bit of a hot streak, so something to look at going forward. I think the biggest fluke
Andre Roberson.
Ever. Yeah. That is not going to happen again.
35 points. Holy shit.
There's no rationale in the world that's going to say why he did that. That just happened, and it won't happen again.
Trevor Booker had a really nice game as well. Didn't see 35 points coming from him. Brooke Lopez, I knew he'd have a nice game. DeMar Carroll.
The next rested LeVert, right?
Yes, they did.
Okay. So that could be why. I think when they're all healthy, Booker's minutes takes a big hit because they want to see Hollis Jefferson play and they want to see LeVert play. So then Booker and Bogdanovich get the biggest hit when one of those two players rest.
Yeah, Steven Adams disappointed quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. So did Plumlee, though.
Norman Powell, I thought he would do a lot better. Well, I guess he hit projection, but right at it. Terrence Ross did exceeded projection. Kilpatrick did. Olynyk right at it. I mean, a lot of these guys were right at projection today. Fred Van Vliet did really well.
Mm-hmm. He's becoming a show favorite.
Right. Jaylen Brown almost hit projection. So, yeah. I think if you didn't play Oladipo and you probably, if you didn't roster either Horford, Crawford, or Booker, you probably didn't win money.
Yeah, I think the key to today was probably picking Horford at center over some of the other guys in good spots.
And Depot.
Yep, and not fading Westbrook.
So.
Yeah, Depot, yeah.
those are sent out to you guys for your use. They also have the optimals and where they scored and all that on there. So those are out for you guys to use them to compare and kind of learn from. Take them how you want it.
We got 11 games tomorrow, which is nice. I think it's a short slate Tuesday, so this game, a lot of these players, a lot of these teams were off today and are off Tuesday. So we might see some good basketball tomorrow.
There's a lot of good matchups tomorrow. You mentioned earlier that there's a ton of good stars in matchups.
Yeah, almost all. I think every player priced over 10,000 on DraftKings is in a good on-court matchup, in my opinion. And there's not really like a standout point total game either. So I think when you're looking at the whole slate as a whole, just based on the Vegas lines and the pricing of the studs, you're gonna have to be real sharp to get into the money tomorrow. I feel like tomorrow profiles more of a cash game type of slate, and taking some flyers and tournaments.
Sorry, I'm just responding to a question here. Someone wants to know about the subscription.
Oh, good.
With that, someone was asking if we can do a 6 month like at a time, and you can if you want. Hit me up and I'll give you my personal PayPal, and we can do it that way. But the link below in the description is $10 a month after the 7-day trial. If you want to pay the full 60 in full, I'll give you $5 off that. We can do 55 for 6 months if you want to pay it in full. But if you want to do that, just email me and let me know. But again, that the 7-month trial. In order to get the 7-day trial, that you have to subscribe by a month. So hope that answers questions. Chicago at Sacramento tomorrow. Rondo back home in Sac. You buying that at all?
Is he from Sacramento?
No, but he played there last year.
I mean, he like had a cup of coffee there and then he moved on. I don't know. No, I'm not buying it.
What about Darren Collison being in a good matchup? Are you buying that?
Nope, not buying it either.
Okay.
I'm limited in my player pool tomorrow, and I don't know. I just feel like there's other places to go.
I think you can go cheap with Darren Collison tomorrow if you want to. I personally will probably pay up a little bit for point guard, but I think you can go Darren Collison.
Yeah, I mean, so Collison's off the board in cash, and so in tournaments you want him to get 30. I don't think it's my favorite play mid-price to try and get 30.
What about Kyrie Irving and John Wall? That is going to be a matchup. I'll take John Wall over Kyrie any day. I don't care about the $2,000 price difference.
DraftKings, it's 10.5 to 8K, so $2,500 price difference. Kyrie obviously didn't play last game. He says he's good to go. Still listed as questionable coming into the game. It's a quad soreness.
That was a bullshit injury.
He's averaging 42 DraftKings points against John Wall in the past 4 games, which would at 8K be 5 times value on DraftKings. But Wall's just been a safe guy. He's averaging 50 on the year. Last 10, he's only had 4 games under 50. Obviously, a good matchup against Kyrie, and what should project to be a good game with Wall protecting his home court. I like that narrative.
They've won 19 games in a row, like you said, 19.
Yep, they have a 19-game home winning streak in Washington, and I believe they've only really lost, I think, 9 of their last 30 games or something, or maybe even more than that.
Washington's on a roll at home. It's crazy, and this is a pick'em game, which I don't know if I buy that. I don't think I can go with a pick'em game in this, but I think Cleveland's a better team. But
Yeah, there's a couple of things about these Vegas lines that I don't generally agree with. Um, a picking game is definitely surprising, but I don't know. I feel like John Wall's the type of guy that, with a 19-game winning streak at home, with Cleveland coming to town, I feel like he's going to show up to protect the home court tonight.
What about Yogi tomorrow against Denver? Yogi's only
6K
5,600.
on DraftKings.
He's 56 on FanDuel. So I think that makes him a lot more rosterable.
So,
Depending on if
so
Darren Williams plays.
yeah, he's been upgraded to questionable and it's listed as a game time decision as well. I think if Darren Williams plays, you can't really look at Yogi at all. Even if Yogi starts, you have to imagine he's not going to get 37 minutes that he's been getting. Like, it's not like we're going to see Darren Williams for like 20 minutes off the bench, maybe. Either way, I just am off him if D Will plays him. And even at 6K, what is his upside?
Yogi or Darren Williams?
Yogi. Like if Darren Williams doesn't play,
What's his upside?
yeah, I don't really see him having.
He's not going to have a repeat game of what he did against Portland.
Yeah.
There's a reason he only made 8 threes on the year. And then he
But
made 9
props
in
to
one
the
game.
boy, man. He took his 10-day to 2-year contract.
No, absolutely.
That's legit, man.
I have much respect for what he did, and obviously he balled out and earned that contract. But I'm not going to roster him thinking that he's going to do that again and repeat that performance.
Yeah, as far as how it plays in DFS, I don't know, but it's legit, man. That it's cool to see something like that happen.
Could he hit 5 times value? Probably. Do I see him
Yeah, it might be a good cash gameplay with D Will's out.
Yeah, I mean the matchup is amazing against Denver, so
yeah.
I just don't know if you're going to see a 40-point, 45-point game. What about? I don't think I'm going to look at any of the Denver point guards. Moutier, Nelson, Murray.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Moutier. He's like been back, but limited to 21 minutes per game or something.
Mm-hmm.
Murray, yeah. I don't think I'm in there at all either.
You absolutely have to look at Kyle Lowry tomorrow against the Clippers.
You're not worried about that price, though?
$9K? It's the same price it was today.
I'm worried about that price on this slate. I think there's other plays I'd like over Kyle Lowry tomorrow.
I just see what the Clippers have been doing to point guards, or allowing to point guards, I should say. And especially if DeRozan doesn't play, I feel like Kyle Lowry's almost a lock for cash games.
I'd rather try and find a way to get to Wall or on. I'm really looking a lot at Bledsoe on DraftKings because he's only 7,800, whereas on FanDuel Bledsoe is. I think I looked at it and it was like 9,000 or something like that. So in cash, if I can't get to Wall, I think I'm going to Bledsoe. I mean, obviously Kyle Lowry's. I'm not going to say he's not in play, but
I personally like Kyle Lowry more than Bledsoe tomorrow.
I don't know. I like the matchup and the point total with the Phoenix New Orleans game much better than I do with the Clippers Toronto game. These two teams are both on a back-to-back. Lowry, I guess, was somewhat sick today. Like he almost didn't go, and he had 45 DraftKings points. So I don't know. I still am going Bledsoe over Lowry.
I guess you have to monitor the sick situation, but to me, if Bledsoe doesn't play, the usage. I don't know. I feel like I have to go Lowry.
No, it's there. I just think he might be a little bit too much, in my opinion.
What about Mr. D'Angelo Russell in the Garden tomorrow, up against either Brandon Jennings or Derrick Rose? Doesn't really matter.
He's been crushing 6 times value lately. I think he's got 3 straight 40-point games now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's killing it.
His price is elevated on DraftKings at 7,000.
He's 6'5" here.
Yeah, I think on FanDuel I like that play a lot. In comparison to anybody else around him, he's the guy.
So him and Brandon Jennings are the same exact price. If Derrick Rose doesn't play tomorrow, which one of those two would you roster?
I'm going D'Angelo Russell. Now, I think from what I've read, Derrick Rose is probable. we might see him on like a minutes restriction since he's missed 4 games, and it's an ankle injury. But that's what I'm thinking. So if Brandon Jennings is in, I don't know. I guess though I'm leaning Russell.
Dragic and Rubio squaring up. Miami at Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Rubio's up to 7K. I think. So here's the thing you have to consider with Rubio. Rubio without Levine, for whatever reason, his assists skyrocket. And I think FanDuel knows that. That's why they bumped his price to 7K. But
What makes you say that?
I don't know. It's just the games I've seen without Levine, his assists go up, and I don't know why.
That's strange to me. I wouldn't expect that.
It's just something.
I think Rubio is.
It's something we've noticed even when I went back to Sports World with George. It was something we looked at and noticed.
Rubio, I think, is definitely in play in tournaments. He's a little bit cheaper on DraftKings, and he's had a couple 50-point games. So I do like it. Especially with Chris Dunn. He's questionable tomorrow. If he's out, I got some strong takes about what I think is going to happen in Minnesota, but I'll wait to shooting guards till I get to that. I just want to touch on Tyler Johnson.
Okay.
He missed 7 games for that shoulder injury. It was the same shoulder he had surgery on last March, and he's not back. He's been back 3 games, and the first game against Brooklyn he was limited.
Yep.
In the last 2 games, he's had over 30 minutes and over 30 DraftKings points. Those games were against Philly and Atlanta. And on DraftKings, he's only 5,300.
It's very cheap.
So if he's averaging over 30 minutes and over 30 DraftKings points at 5,300, I think he's got to come into play here.
Yeah.
He seems underpriced.
No, definitely for what he can do, his upside. Yeah. You have to look at him. What about Westbrook in this Indiana OKC game? I know he's on a back-to-back, 12-4.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather go Wall.
Yeah, so would I.
What about Teague? I like Teague tomorrow.
Yeah, last time these two teams played, Teague had a good game against Westbrook. It was back in November. 40 minutes, 30 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds, 6 steals. Crushed it. I still think he's only a tournament play. I think I still try to find a way to get to Wall in cash.
Mm-hmm. I'll choose Wall over. Yeah.
Yeah, but at 7,700, I think he's probably the best play on FanDuel in that price range.
Someone wanted to know what your stack theory was, and that'll come. He's gonna write that up in a post, by the way.
Yeah, plan was to do it today. I told you at the top. It was a busy day this morning, so yeah, that'll come probably tomorrow, before the Tuesday slate.
Yeah, Mike's just finishing writing it up, so he's off today, tomorrow, whatever you want to say.
Right.
So. Philadelphia at Detroit. We have Reggie Jackson and TJ McConnell. Yes, no? You looking anywhere there?
Reggie's been limited. I think we've seen
Ish is cutting into his minutes.
Yeah, 20-plus minutes from Ish. So it's not like it's cutting in, but it's not like he's getting 35-plus minutes like he was. Perhaps they're just giving extended run to the second team in Detroit, and that's just a product of that. I will say TJ McConnell is only 4,900 on DraftKings, and I really like that in as a cash play.
Obviously, cash, yep.
Obviously, his limited offensive upside takes him out of tournament plays. But if you look at what he did against the Pistons earlier this season, check this out. He had, in 37 minutes, he had 12 points, 10 assists, or 10 rebounds, 9 assists. So almost had a triple-double against the Pistons.
Okay.
And I always think that the whole Reggie Jackson defense isn't really a thing anyway.
It's not defense.
Yeah.
So Eric Bledsoe's 9,300 on FanDuel. He's more expensive than Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, on FanDuel, I don't like Bledsoe at all.
So again,
Give me a $1,400 price or $1,500 price difference.
on DraftKings, yeah. However, Drew Holiday at 8,000 against Eric
Yes.
Bledsoe.
So would you rather have Kyrie or Drew Holiday?
Drew.
Would you rather have Drew Holiday, Kyrie, or Jeff Teague?
Drew.
On FanDuel, I think I'd go Teague. On DraftKings, I'm going Bledsoe.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think Drew's my favorite tournament point guard tomorrow.
I could get behind that. I also like Kyrie and I like Teague, so I think it's between those three guys in tournaments. Unless a whole bunch of value opens up, then I might try and fit Westbrook.
I don't think I'm gonna even look at Westbrook tomorrow. Honestly, I just don't see myself doing that.
Yeah, it could be something you do if you're having multiple lineups. Just try and find one to put a bunch of value in there.
These last two games not really enticing right here. San Antonio, Memphis. I think I can fade both those point guards safely, and then Utah, Atlanta. Not really looking there either.
No, I mean I'm not at all either. I will. The only thing I have to mention about that is that Mike Conley's price on DraftKings has dropped to 6,700, and that is somewhat juicy.
If he can have a high upside game, absolutely.
Right.
Chicago at SEC, Dwayne Wade. I think at 7,800. That's really really pricey for him.
No thanks.
I'm gonna stay away there.
Even if Butler doesn't play, I don't like Wade tomorrow.
What about Brad Beal against Cleveland?
He's been somewhat down lately. I'm not on it. I think there's some much better plays at his price range, and there have been. So I haven't really been playing much Beal. I will say if you go back up to Ben McLemore, I think you have to say something about him. He's minimum price on DraftKings, and I think he's been returning that value. So
here's the problem with McLemore and anything on the Kings. He can start one game and then be a do not play coach's decision the very next game.
Well, that's what happened because Aflalo played. So when Aflalo was out, he started, but he still got minutes.
Even when Aflalo was out earlier in the year, though, I don't know. It's really really difficult to predict the Kings' rotation right now. And McLemore was completely out of favor earlier in the year. All of a sudden, he's okay. I'm not touching that.
Yeah, it's limited sample. 3 games or something that he's hit value. 3 games in a row.
Dallas, Denver. I think you have to look at. Do I want Wes or Seth tomorrow? They're almost at the same price now.
I'm definitely feeling Wes Matthews over Seth Curry. I mean, all day. Let's put it that way. To me, there's a lot of shooting guards. To me, there's two like different price ranges in shooting guards. Like you have Beal, Waiters, and Booker, or you have Lou Will, Wes Matthews, Oladipo, or Caldwell Pope. Like there's 4 guys right around the same price at like high 5s, and then there's 3 guys at high 6.
So you like Wes?
I like Wes, yeah, I do.
I can get behind that as well.
Like I think I'll go Wes Matthews over Lou Williams. They're both in good matchups.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that yet. For the price, I can see it. $700 difference.
So, like I said, what about Oladipo against Indiana's shooting guard position? That's a good matchup. You have Caldwell Pope against Minnesota's shooting guard position. That's a good matchup. So I don't know which tournament play I like the best.
Indiana's been a lot better since CJ Miles has stepped in. That's my concern.
Yeah, I think Oladipo's the last guy. If I had to rank him, I think I'd go. As a tournament play, I think I'd go Lou Williams, Wes Matthews, Caldwell Pope, then Oladipo. I think I have to go Lou number 1 for his upside.
You know I'm behind Will 100%.
It's a little bit easier. He's 59 on DraftKings, so it's a little bit easier to make that decision between him and Matthews.
I can dig Wes
But
Matthews tomorrow, though. I could probably
can
go. You could even roster both of them tomorrow if you want to spend up elsewhere.
probably.
DeRozan, if he doesn't play, I think you can look at Norman Powell again. He's only 4,800, but
On FanDuel, yeah, I could see that.
he
I could
seems to
see it.
have regressed.
His price is definitely caught up to him on DraftKings.
We talked about Lou Williams, Deion Waiters. You have to look at him.
Yeah, what more can you say? So, like I said, Waiters or Beal.
Waiters for his upside.
What about Waiters or Booker?
Waiters.
Yeah, I think I'd go Waiters in tournaments and Booker in cash.
Brandon Rush, are you going to take a chance? 4,600. That's a little high for me. I don't know if I trust him. I kind of like Shabazz more.
So here's my take. Like I said, the point guard thing. So early this season, Rush started for Levine for those 2 games, right? Had 2 30-minute games. You know, he was their plug-and-play guy. Now that Levine is out for the season, I feel like that changes. If I'm a coach, you know, and my shooting guard position is now up for grabs for the rest of the season, I feel like I want to give extended run to my young guys and my playmakers. And so to me, we somewhat saw that last game. Brendan Rush had 24 minutes and only 9 DraftKings points. And Tyus Jones started the second half at shooting guard, played 24 minutes, and had close to 30 DraftKings points. Obviously, I think Dunn and Tyus Jones are the 2 young guns that now they have a reason to play these guys going forward. And if I'm the Timberwolves and I'm the coach, I would want to see an extended run from those 2 guys than I would want to see what Brandon Rush or Shabazz Muhammad could do with extended run. And we saw with Shabazz, he actually played 1 minute less than his average on the season. So I think his role is going to stay the same going forward. You know, I don't think this really changes his role. What do you think?
I like Tyus Jones. I like Chris Dunn and Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones, I'm biased because Duke, but
I think because that game was without Chris Dunn, so I think if Chris Dunn plays tomorrow,
Chris Dunn's going to get more run. Chris Dunn will get more run. Yeah. I can tell you that.
I would caution playing any of these guys until we see what happens. But if Chris Dunn doesn't play tomorrow, I somewhat lean Tyus Jones again.
You have to let it play out first. I agree. I do think in the end, Chris Dunn gets more run.
Coach Tibbs likes him.
They're higher on Chris Dunn. Tibbs loves Dunn because of his defense. Dunn is a great defender, so that's the one thing he came into the NBA with. His offense was what needs work.
And I mean, I don't know. I watched him a lot in college. He almost profiles more of a 2 guard. You know, I know he is a traditional point guard, but I could see him being a 2 guard in the NBA.
Who, Chris Dunn?
Yeah.
I don't know about that yet. Jury's still out for me on that one. Oladipo against Indiana.
I mean, he led the NCAA in scoring at Providence. It wasn't like he was this pass first guy.
I agree. He definitely could project as a 2 guard. I just don't think. I don't know, man. I don't like Rubio on this team.
I will say that on DraftKings, Wiggins is now a shooting guard eligible, which changes the game.
That definitely does. I love Wiggins going forward. Wiggins is
especially when you have guard and forward positions.
Wiggins is in play every single night for me.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get an uptick in usage.
Oladipo against Indiana, like I said, I'm not really buying that. I'm not really a fan of that one.
Yeah, I don't think it's awful, but I think we compared him to the rest of the field, and he falls off.
What about KCP tomorrow?
Against Philly, man. He's in a good spot. Again, it's all comes down to if he gets going in the first half. If he gets going in the first half, he sees the usage and he exceeds value. You know?
Devin Booker for 7,100 against New Orleans. You like that a lot. I can
I
definitely
like
see.
that in cash, man.
I can see why you like it. It is on the road, so there's that narrative.
I think it might be my favorite cash game playing the whole slate. His lowest score in the last 10 games was 33 points. His
Nah.
highest is 46. He has the best on-court matchup on the team. If you look at defensive rating against Heald and Etwan Moore.
I'll take Wiggins.
I like Booker a lot, man. That's where I'm going.
I'll take Wiggins.
I don't know. You also have to factor in this point spread and point total as well. You know,
That's true. It is a high point spread, and I'm not
both
gonna.
those two teams are
I don't.
high
I
top 10
don't.
in pace.
I don't dislike Devin Booker at all. It's an away game. Obviously, I buy that. High scoring, good matchup. I'm not opposed to Devin Booker at all. Don't get me wrong.
No, yeah, me neither. I think you could play both those guys. I like Wiggins a lot too, honestly.
Yeah, Wiggins is one of my favorite plays.
Those two are probably some of the two locks for me tomorrow.
Um, this one could be sneaky. Tony Allen against San Antonio. I like rostering shooting guards against San Antonio. They're really bad against them.
You said Tony Allen?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I don't think his
I think
ceiling
that could be
is.
kind of sneaky.
I don't
I
think
think that
his,
could be kind of sneaky.
Yeah, his ceiling isn't crazy high, but for 4,300, you can do worse. Just something to look for. Don't be surprised if he has a good game tomorrow.
My dog's coming to say hi. Come on. Come on. I don't know what's your deal. I think it definitely could be sneaky. I think anybody in the Memphis-San Antonio game and the Utah-Atlanta game is going to be sneaky. I think those two games are going to go overlooked.
Well, I was just going to ask you, so if Tim Hardaway Jr. obviously I think has to get some consideration again if Cephalosha's out, right?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you got to look at him. I mean, 5,200 is little. He's been crushing it, but last time these two teams played, Atlanta scored 68 total points in the whole game. I'll give him. If I told you they were going to score 80, would you play anybody in their team? You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I see the hesitation there, for sure.
Especially on a guy that needs to score to meet value, you know? So,
Jimmy
would you
Butler.
rather play? Would you rather play LeBron or John Wall?
John Wall.
What if they were the same price?
John Wall.
So I'm going LeBron over John Wall because they're the same price on DraftKings. Actually, John Wall is $100 more, and I'd rather have LeBron. He's only had his. He's only scored less than 50 once in his last 10. Wall's done it 4 times in the last 10, less than 50.
Wall's been up and down. He had 55, 50, then 36. Then he had 49, 36. So, yeah.
So I'm saying LeBron has only been under 50 once in his last 9 games, and he's $100 cheaper than Wall. So if I'm going to cash game play, I think
On DraftKings,
I
I can
LeBron.
see it, but for
FanDuel, it's tough. It is tough because you're talking about almost $1,000 difference. But I think they're both elite cash game plays. I just don't think you can get both.
I'm not going to try and get both.
Should be a good game. Should be a good game.
So Gallo's going to be out for about 10 days, they said.
I saw that.
Are you looking at Wilson Chandler?
I think I look at him. I think it's 6,200. I'm somewhat hesitant, to be honest with you, against Dallas.
What about Harrison Barnes at 6,500?
Definitely not looking at Harrison Barnes.
Agree with that. Toronto and LA again. You have Damari Carroll at 37 and Terrence Ross at 36. Are you looking at either?
Carroll had a good game today. I mean, I'm sure his price would have been higher had it's not been a back-to-back, but it's Damari Carroll. Like, no, I'm not looking at either.
Carmelo against LA tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. I think I'd rather play Wiggins.
I do agree with that at 74. What about Dang against Carmelo Anthony?
I didn't look at Dang at all. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Dang could be sneaky. He's only $4,000.
Does somewhat concern me that Ingram got 30 plus minutes last game after 4 straight games of 20, right around 20 minutes.
Again, that's purely GPP because you can't. Again, another thing you can't predict.
Can't predict.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't predict the
LA.
situation. But you could throw one of them in there. Wiggins, I like at 7,400. Obviously, one of my favorite plays on the slate.
Yeah, let me touch on Wiggins real quick. You know, his first game, I guess, without Levine. I guess not his first game, but last game without Levine, he had 37 minutes, 37 DraftKings points against Memphis, and his usage rate bumped up 4.1% based on his season average. So he jumped from 27.4 to 31.5 in usage. And I imagine that will be a trend going forward.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I felt like Wiggins had more usage than Levine anyway. At least it seemed like he was the deferred player. But without Levine, I
Yeah.
don't think there's a question anymore.
Yeah, he still led the team in usage. It's just he got bumped into that 30% category, which is one of the top. You know, it's
Yeah.
like a benchmark. You know, so it's nice to see that it actually happened against Memphis too. Something we thought was going to happen, but it's nice to see that it did.
Are you going to look at Shabazz at all?
No, I'm just going to go back, reference what I just said about Brandon Rush, and
Shabazz, yeah. You're
yeah.
going to let that play out. Paul George, 8,800. That's a little too much for me.
I do want to say though, with Muhammad, if Dunn plays tomorrow, I might look at him in tournaments and try and play this narrative that I'm thinking of. But otherwise, I do kind of just want to let it play out. Paul George, 8,800. I don't know. I think I like Melo.
I don't like George at
But
8,800. I'll go Melo at 81.
yeah, same.
Someone just asked, Leroy just asked, wouldn't Waiters be better than Wiggins? In FanDuel, you can play both. I mean, I guess in
You can play
DraftKings,
both.
you can play both in either format, but I guess if you had to choose, where are you going?
I think I'm going Wiggins because of, like I said, that usage rate over 30%. I mean, they're going to be matched up with each other. Obviously, neither of them are good defenders. And with Tyler Johnson being back to playing 30-plus minutes a game, it just adds another guy that takes shots
Yeah,
on this team. Whereas before, without Tyler Johnson, it was
Waiters,
Wayne Ellington. It was just like a
a body.
3-point specialist guy.
I like
Waiters
Wiggins too.
is on a crazy hot streak, man. So I still love that guy as a tournament play. I'm a big Dion Waiters fan. I always have been, and if I come down to him, at that price, he's the guy I'm going for
I'll
in a tournament.
I'll pick Wiggins as well. I like Wiggins upside. I even like Wiggins upside more.
It's tough. It's really tough as far as upside,
I think
but I
Wiggins
think
has more upside
Wiggins is
because of his
safer.
usage. No, I even think he has more upside because of his usage.
Perhaps,
And he's going to be getting Dion
but
Waiters' defense.
I think it's a wash, man. As far as defense and usage, I just think Wiggins is the safer play, and Waiters can be a monster if he wants to be. He can literally be. I don't know.
I just don't see. I don't know. I guess I see both of them kind of capping around 45, but I think Wiggins. If anyone's going to break that, I think it's Wiggins, not Waiters. Just my opinion.
Like I said, yeah, he's definitely the one I would bet on to do it, but I still think that Waiters could go off.
That's fair. Marcus Morris against Philly. Are you looking at that? He's had 2 good games in a row.
Yeah, so he must be due for a bad game, right?
Yep, I'm not into that yet. I'll go
Maybe,
elsewhere.
maybe, maybe if Covington sits, I look at it a little bit more because he'll be going up against Sharich or somebody at subpar
What about T.J.
defensively.
Warren?
TJ Warren, I think I like TJ Warren.
I do as well.
He had 18 shots and took 18 shots last game, and that's kind of like where he was at earlier this season. He started the season with 12 straight games of 12 or more field goal attempts, and it's just been kind of not a part of this offense. But minutes are a little bit up in the 3 of the last 4, and he's a tournament play at only 4,300 on DraftKings.
It's 42 on FanDuel, which I actually
Yeah,
like a
so
little
42
more.
on FanDuel. So yeah, definitely play at tournaments. Probably one of my favorite small forward punt plays. One of my favorite, not my favorite.
I think Kawhi has a really good matchup. Talk about Memphis. They don't have anyone that's going to guard a small forward, especially not Kawhi. But 9,700 is hard.
It's hard to do in this point total, man. It's hard to do in this game. This isn't the game I want to spend $10,000 in.
I agree. What about Vince Carter?
He's always kind of like a safer punt play.
He's been getting his minutes.
He's a safer punt play that I like to look at if Parsons is out. Again, against San Antonio, I don't know that I love it. I think I like another guy in a bad
Yeah.
game a little bit better.
I like Gordon Hayward and Joe Johnson tomorrow.
Yeah, that's who I was referring to as Joe Johnson. Obviously, another bad point total game, but I think I'd rather pay it for Joe Johnson than Vince Carter. And that's just the reason I say that is because I don't really know what's going on with Derek Favors. For an undisclosed reason, the team sat him for 2 games, and then last game he played 14 minutes. And Joe Johnson in those 3 games has had 27, 27, and 30 minutes, and 2 straight 30-point DraftKings games.
Joe Johnson's balling.
So it seems to me if this whole Favors trend continues, Joe Johnson's trend is going to continue as well. And I mean, he's back in Atlanta if you buy into that.
Yeah, I mean he's been removed for a little bit, but I think you can look at it. I just
Yeah, he played the majority of his career there.
Yeah, I like Joe Johnson as a punt play for sure.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite punt small forward. And then I think I go TJ Warren after that.
But I like Hayward at 7,600 tomorrow.
Do you like Hayward over Melo?
For cash. I like Melo in a GPP.
Do you like Hayward over Wiggins?
No. In neither format. Give me Wiggins in both.
Yeah. See, I like Wiggins. I like Hayward too. I like some other guys better, and I don't play many lineups.
Yeah. Power forward. Fuck, I don't even know where to look, man, anymore with the Kings. I don't know if Oliver's gonna get the minutes. Cauley Stein. I don't know who to look
at. We gotta touch on Taj. He had 36 minutes last game without Butler, and Cristiano Felicio is going to be out for a week.
Yep.
So Gibson becomes their backup center, and that's what we saw last game. He was Robin Lopez's backup, and so that kind of shifted his rotation. He got the start, but he played a lot of minutes with the second team as the backup center. And he played well. In that 36 minutes, he had a great game. So I think you can look at him. The only other guy I think you look at here in this game, I think you can somewhat look at Willie Cauley-Stein. He's had 25 plus DraftKings points in 3 of his last 4 games.
Yeah, of course. The one that he didn't was the time I rostered him.
Yeah, and he's been a big part of the offense. Field goal attempts in those 3 games were 10, 10, and 12. So in limited minutes, he's putting up shots.
Okay, what about this game? Love or Markieff?
I am looking at neither.
Okay.
What about you? I think Markeith's
I
price is a little too high. I think Love's price might be a little too low.
yeah, I was
If
gonna
anybody, I'm
say.
looking at Love.
I think I kind of like Love tomorrow at 7,600.
Yeah, I don't know how you pay for Markeith Morris only $400 less than Kevin Love. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Ah man, this matchup is it's nice. Jokic at 10-9 against
Hell no.
Dallas.
No way in hell I'm paying 10-9 for Jokic against Dallas. DraftKings, he's 9,000. And I think you look at him there, but he's still not a must play, in my opinion, against Dallas. Again, when there's all these guys that are in good spots, these
The
guys you
stars.
pay up for,
Yeah.
yeah. But then again, I say that, but then you
He's gonna
fade Jokic and you hate yourself for it
he's gonna have
after the
55
fact.
points. Yeah.
But 10-9 is nuts, man. I mean, that's like it's like the same price as DeMarcus Cousins, you
It's
know?
rough. Yeah, you're paid for. I feel like you're. I don't know. I don't know if I can call Jokic consistent yet. I don't. I don't expect a 50-point game from Jokic every time like I do Boogie.
I don't know.
I'm just not at that point with
I can't
Jokic yet.
pay it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'll regret it, but I'm not playing him tomorrow.
Blake Griffin at 9-2 against Toronto. That's a really good matchup for him.
I think he's still it's a little high though. I mean, I see him tomorrow. I see him getting like having like a 26-7 game. You know,
Uh,
that could be close to that. You know, I don't know if that's
I love his matchup.
great. Again, when you have these studs that can get you 70 any given night, only like $1,500 more than him. These like 9,000 guys like Butler, Kawhi, Blake, Paul George. Those guys are kind of like going under the radar because you want to pay up for those studs, you know?
I think Blake could be a good tournament play. I think so.
Yeah, he could for that reason exactly, you know?
I like Kristaps tomorrow. Kristaps is only 6,600, and he's facing
Yeah,
this
he's a good
terrible,
play.
terrible Lakers defense.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good game against them in LA, but that was kind of like it feels like a different world ago.
I will say that the Lakers do play better with Tariq Black. Oh shit! And Larry Nance on the floor.
Yeah, but I think
Defense
Randall's coming
wise.
back.
No, I know. I'm just saying from a defensive standpoint, when those two are
Mm-hmm.
on the floor, they're better.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Randall's probably going to play this. He's listed as probable to play.
Yeah.
I think. Actually, I don't know. I don't have that official designation in front of me, but I thought I read somewhere that he was probable to play. But yeah, Porzingis, that price is too low. We know what his upside is. I can get you 50.
What about?
So, but he hasn't done it in a long time. It seems like.
Yeah, I think that Achilles kind of hurt him for a little bit, or ankle, heel, whatever it was.
Yeah, and while he was out, they liked toying with the lineups, and he hasn't really seen the minutes, and he's on the Knicks, so he's screwed.
That's fair. I can kind of get behind this play tomorrow. Gorgie Dang,
Mm-hmm. I
5,600.
can get behind too. He's 5,100 on DraftKings, and you know, at 5,100, and let's say I want 30 points from him, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Jang has gotten to 30 points in 6 out of the last 10 games. He's had some duds here and there, but it's like a quiet 30 points, you know.
He's never high owned, and he's never a guy that's on anybody's radar.
I mean, he's going to be going up against James Johnson, I believe, for most of the day. But then again, he'll also have some minutes against Babbitt. So yeah, I think he could be in line for a decent game.
I think I
Let me just make sure that.
Go ahead.
Let's make sure that was right. That what I said. 30 points in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Last 10 on DraftKings.
I think I stay away from the entire OKC Indiana game at the power forward.
LaVoy Allen. You got to talk about LaVoy Allen. So if Thad's out again, I mean, he played 32 minutes and had 43 DraftKings points last game. I mean, shit.
Is that out though?
He's listed as questionable, and I don't think he's going to play. I mean, it's a wrist injury, and I was watching that game when it happened. It didn't like he didn't come back. Obviously, it's not like he tried to play through it, and then the next game was listed as out. Like
Yeah.
he hurt his wrist, it was out. There's only been one game. I think you got. I mean, could that be an outlier? Obviously, yes.
I mean, he's done nothing
You
to.
know, Lavoy Allen. I don't. If I'm rostering Lavoy Allen tomorrow, it's for the hopes that he gets me 25, not 43.
He's
But if he's
definitely.
gonna get 32 minutes, I mean, minimum salary.
Lavoy Allen's a backup for a reason, so keep that in mind. But yes, I agree.
I know. I'm just saying. We always say it like someone's going to get you 30 plus minutes at minimum salary. You have to look at it for the points per minute situation.
You
I mean,
do.
look at that 6 times value, 21 points.
You do, and OKC is very middle of the pack against power forwards recently. So definitely, I agree. You have to look at
I
it
mean,
from that perspective. And what? Who's going to guard him? Sabonis. So yeah, I agree.
the only caution I would have to his minutes is the fact that they go small and they just try to go Paul George to the 4 and some CJ Miles, Monta Ellis thing. But I don't think they can do that in this game because they could counter with Laverne or Grant or Sabonis is even I feel like they're going to need minutes out of Lavoy Allen tomorrow.
I can see it. Ilyasova against John Lure. I like it.
I like it if Covington is out, definitely. I love it if Covington's out. If Covington plays, I like it. I guess I'm just not super high on it.
I also like Tobias Harris against Philly.
I don't think I'm going there.
I like Tobias Harris tomorrow. Anthony Davis obviously is in an amazing spot tomorrow. Amazing.
He's only 10-3 on DraftKings, so $1,000 cheaper. I think if you look at all these guys, he's not the best tournament play. He's the second best tournament play out of all these high priced guys.
I rarely roster Anthony Davis, but I can get behind him tomorrow. I really can.
I'm telling you, I love this game to pay up at. Like I like Bledsoe, and I like Davis. I could go Drew Holiday. I like Booker. And there's some pump players. We talked about Warren already. I mean, there's a lot of plays in this game to me.
I think you can get your value from this game.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Warren. We haven't talked about Chris yet, but I guess we can talk about him right now.
I was just going to say, you can look at Chris as well. Uptick in minutes for sure.
Yeah, he led the team in usage last game at 33%. Now, that's not going to happen again, obviously. But in his last 4 games, he's had 40 DraftKings points, 6 DraftKings points, 25, 33. So, crush value in 3 of 4, and then the one that he didn't, he had 6 points, which was the day that I played him, of course.
Same here. At 3,600, though, that's I would I would rather go Marquise Chris over Lavoy Allen for $100 more.
I could see that as well. On DraftKings, he's 4K. I don't know. The matchup against Davis somewhat scares me off of his minutes. They may have to put him on the bench and play a lot of PJ Tucker tomorrow.
You don't think that they
because of Davis?
Well, so Davis has been lining up at the 5. You don't think that they? I don't think they put Marquise Chris on Davis.
If I was New Orleans, though, I'd go smart and go 2 bigs because what are they going to do? What is the Phoenix going to do? Try to run the 2 bigs off the floor?
No, I agree, but I just think Tyson Chandler matches up with Davis. So I mean, whoever Chris guards, Chris always is in the possibility of foul trouble. He fouls a lot. He does. So
yeah,
you have to always factor that in, right? You run that risk. That's why he's so cheap. But telling you, dude, the kid is talented. I've been high on him from the beginning of the year, and it's nice to see him finally starting to pan out a little bit.
he's definitely in play. I agree.
What about Terrence Jones? Do you look at him at all?
I think so. What is he on FanDuel?
5,500.
Yeah, so he's the same price on DraftKings. I think he's a solid tournament play. He could always go off.
I mean, you could always roster Terrence Jones with the hope that Anthony Davis gets hurt.
That too. I mean, but even so, I watched the whole Washington game.
He's been playing more,
and he's been playing a little bit more. Yeah.
But obviously,
then
if Davis
again,
is out,
that is hard to come by too. Those minutes.
Yeah, if Davis gets hurt, which is like 50% of the time, I mean, you could make a lineup with Jones just cause. Telling you. What if Aldridge against Memphis? I don't know if I like that. Zach Randolph, I
No.
don't really know if I'm buying that either. And then I think I'm going to stay away from Millsap and Favors and that whole
So
situation.
I mentioned a couple times on the show how DraftKings lowers everybody's prices against Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Millsap is priced at 6,900 tomorrow.
Wow.
So I feel like he has to come into some sort of consideration.
Just for his price, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not playing that many lineups to put Millsap in the play. You know.
I agree. DeMarcus Cousins, obviously a great play against Chicago.
Boogie, last time they played Chicago, 71.5 DraftKings points, had 42 and 14, was
That was
16 to 28.
that Phantom foul against D Wade.
That was. So it was a good game. He carried a 45% usage rate in that game. Now he does have a 37% rate in the season, but without Rudy Gay, it's bumped up to 3.5%. So without Rudy Gay, it's at 40.5. I mean, this just saying, this guy is just
Telling you, without Rudy
everything,
Gay,
man.
DeMarcus Cousins should be in play, regardless of matchup. Every single game they play, he's their offense. So
So yeah, if you're hovering around the cash line and you have Boogie in the late night game and he gets you 75 points, you're gonna be a happy guy, you know.
yeah, you're looking pretty. I think you got to look at Boogie tomorrow. Now, I guess, what's your favorite position to pay up for? I guess you kind of have to. For me, it's center and point
Position?
guard. Yeah, for me, it's center and point guard.
Yeah, always. I mean, especially on DraftKings, that's what those are the two positions that fantasy get the most fantasy points. You know, so you got to look at DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis. You really do.
That one's hard. I think I go Boogie for safer.
Yeah, I think Boogie's the better play on both sides, in my opinion. I still think he carries better upside than Davis,
I agree.
and but I think those are 1 and 2 in upside on this whole slate. I mean, obviously Russell Westbrook factors in, but his matchup is considerably worse than the two matchups that Boogie and Davis have.
It's weird that I don't know. I saw Westbrook on the slate, but I really have not thought of him at all. He's just not in consideration at all for me tomorrow. I don't know why. Like, that's weird to say
You
that
don't
about
need to.
Westbrook.
You don't need to because, like we said, we have there's
So much
you
other
could make the argument that there's 5 or 6 other people that can
outscoring.
provide the same upside
Yeah.
for $2,000 cheaper.
Gortat against Cleveland, and vice versa. Tristan Thompson against Gortat.
I like it. I just don't. There's so many plays at center that I am.
Looking elsewhere.
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan against Toronto against Valanciunas.
Same story, different game.
Willie Hernan Gomez has to be in play at this point. I think this center situation is normalizing.
Normalizing. Thank you for using my word. Normalize. Yeah, I mean, and the Lakers. So it's been 3 games that he's crushed value. Brooklyn, Cleveland, and Washington. Noah has already been ruled out. And they're playing the Lakers, who are the 3rd worst DVP
Second.
on DraftKings. It's 3rd. So
Okay.
2nd on FanDuel. So terrible. So worse than the Nets. Now, I will say that Noah played last game, but he left. He left the game, and O'Quinn started the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think we could perhaps see Kyle O'Quinn start tomorrow. But even if Hernan Gomez doesn't start, I still think he's somewhat of a safe bet to get to 30 minutes, just based on how they've been using him.
I like Hernan Gomez tomorrow. I do. I mean, his price is creeping up there for. I mean, his upside is worth it, yes, but you never know with the Knicks, man. You just don't.
Yeah, you really don't. I'd love to. if you look at what his price compared to his production recently, he should be a lock for cash. But you just don't know what the Knicks are going to do,
Yeah.
and for that reason, I think O'Quinn is in play
4,100. Yeah.
with no Noah. They're both in play.
Now what about
Obviously, I'd rather play Willie, but
the reverse? What about Zubac?
I think with Randall coming back, I think Zubats is going to get pushed out.
Okay.
Just my personal opinion. Now, if Randall doesn't play, you can look at it, but
All right. So out of Karl Anthony Towns and Hassan Whiteside tomorrow, I think I like Whiteside more.
I'm going Towns.
Here's the reason I like Whiteside
Towns,
more.
okay.
Towns struggles on the boards. That's where Hassan excels.
Perhaps. I mean, I don't know. I like Towns for just his safety. Man, he's had 8 50-point DraftKings games in the last 10.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you look at what Whiteside does, and I mean he's coming off 2 good games, but I don't trust it to continue. It's a little bit easier on DraftKings at 8,100, so I don't really compare the two of them.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
I don't even compare the two of them at that point. I'm more comparing Whiteside to Drummond tomorrow than I am comparing Towns to Whiteside. I think what I'm doing is I'm comparing Towns to Cousins, and that's when Towns is going to go off the board.
I don't like Miles Turner tomorrow. Steven Adams maybe.
Yeah.
Not really too big on Steven Adams tomorrow.
Again, in tournaments, I think this Drummond Whiteside argument is pretty serious.
Just gonna go to Drummond. I love Drummond tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to go into something real quick. I know it's everyone knows this Philly matchup is a good one, but this is kind of staggering. So I'm going to tell you the last 5 people in performances against Philly. Less centers, I mean.
Okay.
So we had Hassan Whiteside, had 61 DraftKings points and 30 points and 20 rebounds.
Okay.
Then we had Dwayne Dedman. In 22 minutes, had 13 and 10 for 34 DraftKings points. Before that, we had Salah Mejri, who in 20 minutes had 16 points and 17 rebounds for 42 DraftKings points. Before that, we had Boogie, who had 76 DraftKings points, 46 and 15, and before him was Robin Lopez for 44 DraftKings points and 21 and 9. So the last 5 centers to play Philly have just destroyed them.
And only 2 of them are stars, if you can call them that.
Yeah. So that's why I'm leaning Drummond over Whiteside.
I agree with that completely. I will take Drummond for a cheaper price over Whiteside. On DraftKings.
Because I don't think Okafor might play. I think he's questionable, but Embiid is out.
I think Drummond's my. Yeah, I think Drummond's my favorite center play on the slate.
Oh man, it's tough.
It's hard to say that with Boogie, but
I don't play Drummond in cash. I still don't do it. Still afraid to do that, but he is probably one of my favorite tournament plays overall.
what about? I don't know if you can do this. Boogie and Drummond on DraftKings.
Boogie and Drummond on DraftKings? Yeah, if I could figure. I mean, Boogie is power forward eligible on DraftKings, so you absolutely can do it.
I know you can do it. I'm just saying from a price standpoint, will it work?
Yeah, I mean, it'll work. I mean, you can get 2 $10,000 price guys if you wanted to. I did it the last big slate. I had Wall and LeBron.
Okay.
So I think you could do that if you wanted. I mean, you could go.
I like that then,
in
man.
cash.
I think the upside is there in a GPP. I think you have to look at it. A Drummond and Boogie stack.
Yeah, that could work out well. It could definitely work out well.
So I don't know. I think I like that. What are
your thoughts on Tyson Chandler?
I was Gonna go there. I like Tyson Chandler tomorrow. I do.
Price is really low, 5,100. But like
It's
for
54.
some reason, the last like 2 weeks, he's not been getting his minutes.
I
I
was
don't know what's
just
going on.
I was just gonna say that he's been struggling to hit production and hit his value. Very up and down performances. So I don't. I like his matchup, but I don't know if I like his situation.
I mean, but like you said, I mean, logically speaking, it feels like they're going to need him
That's what
just
I
from a
think.
straight up size perspective.
I mean, they don't. Who else are they going to put on him? I really don't think they can put Chris on Anthony Davis. So, to me, that screams
Yeah,
Tyson Chandler needs to play.
but both these coaches are just awful, man, as far as doing things based off of logic. So who knows, man?
I don't know. I do like Chandler tomorrow. I do.
Would you rather play Chandler or Hernan Gomez?
I think I have to go Willie just because of the upside.
Yeah, I think I go the same. I think I go the same.
Okay. Are you looking at Marc Gasol or Dwight Howard or Rudy Gobert tomorrow?
Marcus All 8,900, no. Gobert 7,900, maybe. Dwight Howard, no.
I don't think I look at either Gobert or Howard. I don't like that pace of game
I
and
think you
that.
could safely fade those two games unless you're being contrarian. And it's
Yeah.
possible. It's a little bit easier on DraftKings, like I said, to go against Utah or going against Memphis because they price people down.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like talk about these studs a little bit more and kind of rank them. I know I keep kind of mentioning it all day. So we both agreed DeMarcus Cousins over Anthony Davis. Do we agree both in both formats?
Yes.
Okay, so how about Anthony Davis or Russell Westbrook?
Ooh.
All things considered, price, upside,
If we're good, if all things
back to
considered,
back, injured.
all things
Yeah,
considered, give me Anthony Davis tomorrow. Tomorrow only.
I like it. I like it too. I think he goes Boogie, Davis, Westbrook, 1, 2, and 3 in tournaments.
Boogie Davis Westbrook.
As far as overall best upside
Upside.
plays,
Yeah.
yeah,
Can dig that. I would put probably Braun at 4.
I would too. Now let's go cash.
Okay.
All things considered, you said Wall over LeBron, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'd probably do the same on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, I'm going LeBron over Wall.
Okay.
Now, would you rather go LeBron or um, Boogie
Boogie.
in cash?
Boogie.
Would you rather go Boogie over Wall in cash?
That's really tough for me. Usually, I would say Wall. And the reason for that is I always prefer to have a point guard. If I'm choosing between a point guard and anyone else, I almost always will lean towards the ball handler because the opportunity for points is much more likely, right? Assist or
Right.
score. But
I think,
because of Boogie's situation, it's you know what,
yeah,
I still
he
go
is the
Wall.
ball handler.
I still go Wall. I think.
Again, I'm putting a lot of faith into this narrative that they're on an 18-game home winning streak, and that I just feel like Wall's that kind of dude. But the more I play NBA DFS, the more I factor into usage, and 45% usage rate for Boogie is
Ridiculous.
second to Westbrook, and I don't know. I still think I go LeBron, then Wall, then Boogie in cash. So if I had to rank 1, 2, and 3 in cash, it's LeBron, Wall, then Boogie. Actually, no. I go LeBron, Boogie, then Wall. I'll do that.
Okay.
And in tournaments, I'm gonna go Boogie, Anthony Davis, then Westbrook.
Okay.
Who's your favorite center punt?
My favorite center punt.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Are we talking under 5K? Are we talking
Sure.
under 5K? Let me. Robin Lopez gets some consideration.
Yeah, I think so
O'Quinn
too.
gets consideration. And this is super punty, but Al Jefferson gets some consideration in my opinion.
I like Okafor a bit if he starts a bit. Obviously, Lavoy Allen's only center eligible on DraftKings, so I like him. And same with Willie Cauley-Stein; they're both only center eligible. So I think those two guys where I'm looking.
Okay. I can get behind Robin Lopez tomorrow though.
Yeah, me too. I definitely could as well.
I think that's it, right? Kind of discuss all the punt plays. Definitely look forward to Mike's breakdown about stacking. So
Yeah, the research is pretty much done. I just gotta kind of write it up.
there's a lot of not miss, but there's a lot of what's the proper word?
There's pros and cons. I mean, I
I,
know that's not where you're trying to get to, but I think,
I think there's misdirection in stacking.
yeah, something like that. Misdirection is a good word. I think, again, I'm not trying to direct you one way or the other. That is not the name of our game. If you're watching this to play what we think, um, you need to get out and watch some basketball and try to make your own decisions. In my opinion,
I agree. I mean,
not that we don't appreciate you watching us, but taking us as like law, is not the way to go about it. And so that's what I'm saying is with this research, it's pretty much just to put it in front of you for you to make your own decision. I'm literally going to put in front of you the statistics that I think should be looked at when you
right.
go to consider stacking. And if those statistics don't correlate into a good stack, you shouldn't just do it because it's a short slate.
I agree, and that's kind of what we're talking about with the misconceptions and the misleading about stacking is I think too often people get into the habit and the mindset of, oh, I like this game, just fucking throw everybody in that game into a player pool. When you have to look at, like Mike said, correlation, right? So there's only one ball, and if you have two ball dominant point guard and shooting guards, most of the time, stacking them is not a good correlation because one of them needs the ball to score, and it's often not going to come at the result of the other one passing.
Right. But you can't make assumptions either way. And all the stacking principles comes from like what Kyle said. It comes from there's only one ball, and it all comes from baseball and football, where if you don't stack, you're losing money. If you play baseball or football DFS, you need to stack to get your correlation points because on a game by game daily basis in every game, that's how fantasy points are accrued. So in the NBA, there's one ball, there's 48 minutes, there's a limited number of shots, and so it doesn't play into it as much. But there are pros to stacking and being smart about you know singling out those pros and singling out those players and those games is how you're going to succeed. And so I'm just going to put into an easy to read thing, some statistical analysis, some things to look for when you do your research when you're considering stacking.
And that's it. It's not that stacking's bad. It's just you have to be smart about it.
Exactly.
You can't just throw darts at a board at a game that you like and say I'm going to stack that game. So
I mean, you can, but it won't be as profitable as you think.
the only time that
It,
ever works is when it goes into overtime.
yeah, I mean, that's why you see those lineups where people just decide to play the whole team, like the starting five on each side, because they're hoping for like 4 overtime game. Because if that happens, then they're
They're sitting pretty.
then they're cake.
Yeah.
They're cake.
So, all right, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Some housework or housework. I lost whatever. I don't know what I knew what I was trying to say. Make sure you're following the Facebook business page. Mike does his pregame lock shows on there. Best in the business there. I promise you guys. Question, answer, all that stuff. He'll update any injury news, things like that. It's definitely a well-renowned pre-lock show.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, I'm off all day tomorrow too. So if you have questions during lineup building, I will be following the slate closely throughout the day. Find me on Twitter, um, message me on Facebook, whatever you need to do. I'll be around.
Make sure you follow our Twitter, Fantasy Phenom, our Facebook group. Make sure you're joining that Fantasy Phenom movement. So the link is in the description below to join that. That's a great place. We got over 750 people in there, and I'm telling you that is active. That is one of the reasons. That's one of the best feedback I get from viewers is this Facebook group is amazing. Like the plays that are put on and things like that. Some of the analysis that goes on in there, really good. A lot of the guys that we have winning are talking in there. We had a 10K winner the other night, and a lot of these guys are active in the group. They're talking about their plays, and you can learn a lot from them. And then obviously
Yeah.
our Instagram, Fantasy Phenom, and finally, I mean, you see these sheets that we have much more in depth. This is only the player list. We have projections for FanDuel and DraftKings. We have 15 optimal lineups for each slate. 5 based on projection, 5 based on ceiling, and 5 based on floor. And all of those are tools to use. So a great tool, for example, today is Damari Carroll returned in, I believe, 12 of the 15 optimal lineups. Usually a really good sign when a player returns in all of them. So, and sure enough, Damari Carroll went off today. So it's definitely something to look at. I use it a lot in terms of like I talk about, Al Horford was in it the other night and he returned a lot. Played him and he went off. I think he had like 46 DraftKings points the other night. So 45, 44, something like that, 42, whatever it was. Again, it's just another tool. You can look at the projection for that player and be like, I really don't trust this projection. I'm not buying into it. And then you can fade said player. There's a lineup builder if you know how to use Excel and a PC. So obviously we're building a website right now. We're in the process of doing that. It'll be much easier. You'll have complete access whether you're on a Mac, a PC. Ideally, we'll get it working on a phone as well. We're in the works of an app. So I have a lot of connections with app developers. So that is in the works as well. So just a bunch of good things coming. If you sign up for the subscription, which is below, you get a free 7-day trial with it. And you can cancel at any time in those 7 days, and then it's $10 a month, $9.99. Cheaper than any site you'll find out there, I promise. And all our projections are made by us. I've developed algorithms and formulas for these projections and minutes and all this. There are projections, so I trust them. I send out the projections versus what they actually score, and so you guys can see how close we were. There's no bullshitting with us. We're 100% transparent. We're not going to take projections from any of these other sites and give them back to you, because then you're just paying for their product, and that's not what we're about. We're not a Fantasy Labs. We're not a Roto Grinders, and I respect what they're doing, but I don't trust their projections as much as I trust my own. And so ultimately, you make your own decision with that as well. Whose do you trust more? And you go from there.
Yeah. I got just a couple things off what you said. One thing is that, people that, if you're not good at Excel, I guarantee in 10 minutes, if you reach out to Kyle or I, we could explain how that you can build lineups on Excel. It really isn't something that is hard to figure out, and we're willing to just sit down with you and explain it. And
if you have the hardware available, like a PC and Excel,
yeah,
I can explain it to you. I make this really easy to use. You just push buttons. If you have a Mac
right.
with Excel, it works. It's not as great as a PC. Obviously, the Excel's made on a PC, so it won't work on a phone. I can tell you that. Building a lineup will not work on a phone, but you can view the lineups that are pre-made.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that's just kind of part of the 7-day trial. If you come in here and you get the spreadsheet and you don't know what you're looking at, just let us know and we'll help it out. We'll help you out without a doubt. And it's just dragging and dropping, building lineups, and within a day you'll get it figured out, and it's a lot of fun. It's just a way to supplement your process. Someone's asking how they can get a reply from me on Twitter. Just
tag me.
Just mention me. Yeah, just mention me in the tweet. And another thing is with this Facebook group, is if you're in the Facebook group and you're also playing in the contests, something that I've noticed and I've heard from people is that they start to, when they're playing in these contests, they look at other people's lineups, that people that they see in the Facebook group, and they can kind of, if they do it every day, you can kind of see how these people
That are
that you
constantly.
trust in the Facebook group, how they're building their lineups. And so not only are you in the group, but if you get in the contest as well, you can see all of your fellow phenoms lineups and kind of get used to how they're building them, and that's another tool in itself, is just to look at people you trust and see who they have in their lineups.
100%. And on top of that, I
Um,
mean, you see the guys that are constantly at the top of these contests, and you can learn a lot just from looking at how they build their lineups, where they're paying up, where they're finding value, how they're finding value.
yeah,
What matchups are they
especially if
using.
you especially if you spent all day researching and you came to this lineup and it didn't win, it can be kind of frustrating. You're like, well, how the heck what did they look at? They spent all day looking at their lineup, building their lineup too, and that's how did they get to that person? And if you have a question, all you got to do is go back to the Facebook group, tag the guy, and be like, "Hey,
Yep,
how did you come to that pick?" And I'm sure you'll get a response.
exactly.
Speaking of the contest, we'll have leaderboard or power rankings released tomorrow. So look forward to that. I pinned to the page on the Facebook page today just something new that we're adding to the contest, just to try and reward, just an added incentive to reward people that win, since we're getting close to 80 to 100 entries a day. And there's also the full information about what the contests are, what the prize is, and how it all works.
Yeah, so definitely something to get into and check out. So I appreciate you guys tuning in again. I know, a late show. By the way, Wednesday morning, we'll actually have a show during the daytime. So it'll be 9 a.m. West Coast time, 12 a.m. East Coast time. So look forward to that. On days that Mike and I are both off, we're going to try and do some day shows. It'll obviously give us more current news to look forward to. So,
Yeah, we're going to try and do that because I know we're getting the same people here in the live chat, and I'm sure there's plenty of you that are listening or watching us today that wished you could be a part of the live chat. And so we're going to try and devote at least 1, maybe 2 days a week to having a morning show, so that you guys that can't be a part of this chat can come and say what's up.
absolutely. And then we also have an audio only podcast. So if you join the Facebook group, you'll get a link to that as well. So if you can't watch the video while you're at work, there's an audio only version as well. So I just got to mention one final thing. Huge shout out to Josh. Josh was at the Super Bowl all weekend, talking up DFS like crazy. You'll see some pictures on Instagram later. Fantasy Phenom was well represented at the Super Bowl this weekend. So huge shout out to Josh for doing that and, getting the name out there. So Fantasy Phenom is growing, guys. I promise. A lot of good things coming.
Yeah, I can't say enough for Josh for doing that. Not only for the Phenom, but for me personally as well. That's huge, man. I owe you. We owe you, man. That was awesome. I'm sure you had fun too. Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, all right, guys. Have a wonderful night. Thank you again for tuning in. We will talk to you on the other side.